I guess because we have people online, we need to do it, call, so. I'll just go by what I have. Harriet Gearing, I'm here. Myra Sinnott here. Jessica Brazier.
Here.
Yeah. Dick DeGrasse.
Here.
Holly Fields.
Here.
Bill Thomas.
Here.
Monica Mullins.
Here.
Trevor Blackbird. Not here yet. Janice Pencil.
Here.
Okay, so we definitely have a quorum. Did everybody get a chance to review the minutes from the previous meeting?
Yes.
I have some comments on the minutes, if you don't mind.
Okay, go ahead.
On page 3, Jessica talked about 750 gallons of fuel, which is incorrect. It's actually 1,228, according to the information I have from Bill Thomas.
Wait a minute, I'm struggling to understand Dick's words. Dick, can you
Speak a little louder?
increase the treble or something?
This is the energy consumption estimates that you gave me, Bill. And I
Okay,
made a calculation on the using those numbers to determine the heat loss of the
wait,
library.
wait, those are not estimates. What I gave you are the use of fuel oil.
I know-
Absolutely.
I shouldn't have used the word estimates. They are the actual fuel consumption.
Yes,
That's fine. That's exactly what I used. But the comments that were made by Jessica on 750 gallons are incorrect because they're actually 1,228 on average that you discovered. And that changes the math. Now, I don't know quite how to handle it, except that I have the math that does use the estimates that Bill gave me on the estimates, the actual heat consumption, fossil fuel consumption for the library. I have the estimates here. That should be used.
How do we handle that?
So in
And
the
I'd like to
minutes,
change the
so
minutes to reflect the
Um,
fact.
let me interject.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The most recent year is 750, as I stated. Dick's 1,200 comes from an average of previous years. So I was referring to the most recent year. So my calculations are accurate.
So I suggest, since the question here relates to the minutes reflect what was actually said at the
That's
meeting.
true.
So perhaps we can take it offline and have, since this will, and have a discussion. I think, at this point, we're not even, when we come back to the library,
That's fine, as long as my
heat pumps. But
mathematics are on the table.
Jessica is correct that the last year was a lower number because it reflected the insulation that had been
You can't
installed.
make an estimate on a new heating system without a full year or several years with the fuel consumption data.
Right, well,
Which is
that's,
what we have, and that's exactly what I did.
right, and that's the point that Bill was making, that we only had 1 year with the current rate of insulation, but averaging more years is not accurate either, because
Why?
the building changed.
But not significantly in
Characteristics.
recent history.
yeah, can I speak to this?
Yeah.
Dick, what you'd need to do would be to take the average prior to the installation and then take the average for 2 or 3 years after the installation, because that would take into consideration year-to-year variation. The best thing to do would be to normalize those to heating degree days. I have the heating degree days, but I did not present the data in that way, okay?
So we'll bring this up for further discussion.
But the minutes don't.
But now the minutes as they stand reflect what was said at the meeting. So, yeah, go ahead.
No, thumbs up.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes? A motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. So I know we have to take a vote, so I'll start with the people on the screen. Bill?
Aye.
Well, we're approving the minutes, that is. Jessica?
I approve.
Holly?
I approve.
Dick?
No,
Does not approve. Janet?
Yes.
Myself, I approve. Myra
Yes.
and Monica.
I have one other comment also.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I was looking down at my notes. The question of heat pump, I talked with both Janice and the treasurer, and it's not in the budget for the library in the current year. So the heat pump.
It's in the
budget-
energy committee budget.
It's not in the library budget for this current
Right, but
year.
it's in the energy committee budget.
What, $90,000?
No, and that's why, you know, when we get, down to that topic, we can go into that. We have, I think, I can't remember the exact number, but we have money in the budget, but not that much. So that's an issue. Well, okay, so why don't we move on to the update? So since, Jessica, do you want to give an update on the library? Yeah, Jessica?
I'm sorry, I can't hear anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to go ahead with an update on the library? An
Maybe-
update on the library.
Maybe
Can
she
you
really can't hear anything.
Yeah, Bill, can you hear us?
I can hear Cressica. I can hear you guys, but she said she can't hear anything.
We can't hear Cressica.
Well, we heard her say she couldn't hear us. Right, yeah.
I'll email her.
Okay, so
They
Bill,
have
do you want,
disconnected a cable.
yeah, do you want to go ahead with the town office?
Sure. I mean, it won't take 5 minutes. It's pretty simple. Everything seems to be working fine. There were concerns about how it might function in the case of a power outage. I answered that question, and does anyone have any questions? If not, then I don't need to update it. There is an outstanding question from this morning from, should I keep talking or be quiet?
I think Cressica's talking.
Jessica, you trying to talk?
Okay.
Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, go.
Okay, so the outstanding question this morning had to do with a recommendation from Revision Energy about what to do with the heat pump that they installed in the case of a power outage. This emerged from the fact that the heat pump would not work at some point, and it required a reboot. I ended up rebooting the system and it worked fine. But as a result of that, the decision was made that it was probably a result of a power outage and a surge of some kind that came as a result of the power outage and the starting of the electrical system from CMP. So Revision recommended that the heat pump be turned off in a power outage. Did everyone understand that this has to do with the old heat pump, right? So Janet asked me about that. Was that relevant to the new system? And of course, I didn't know the answer to that. So I got a hold of Rob Jenkins and posed the question to him. And I'm awaiting a response from him about that. What I suppose he's going to say is, no, it is not relevant to the new system, because he's explained several times how the new system works, and he made no mention of a need to turn the system off in a power outage. In fact, quite the contrary. However, with this specific question, he may come back with a more directed answer, and I'm awaiting that. And as soon as I have that, I will share it with everybody else. So that's basically the end of the report.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah.
If you have a power outage, doesn't that turn the heat pump off?
No. No,
Is that
because the generator kicks in and the heating system is carried by the generator. The generator has the capacity to cover all the needs of the building. That's been established several times now, and apparently until proven otherwise, that's the case.
Okay.
Holly, you'll find that explanation in an email that I sent out to everyone as a result of Fred Porter's question a few days ago. And to make sure that I was correct in my answer, I consulted with Rob Jenkins before responding to the question. And the point is, no. Do you need me to explain how the system does work?
Cressica, are we able to hear you now?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay, do you want to go ahead with the library update?
Sure. We'll be, we're still working on contacting heat pump vendors, so we'll be updating on the heat pump system next month, I hope. But we are going forward with the solar panel installation. We've been able to start the scheduling of the re-roofing with Long Hill. And we'll be reusing the shingles. John Applequist will be reusing the shingles, so there won't be any significant waste from
That's
the
great.
shingle project. Yeah. So that's a positive update, I guess.
All right.
Wait a minute, I had a question. What the heck was it? I'm sorry, I can't remember what it was. If it comes back, I'll bring it.
All right, so, do you want to move on to the municipal building?
I'd like to-
sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, never mind, I have a question.
Do you have the data on the size of the array, Jessica, and the monthly output expected from the solar array?
Yeah, Harriet sent that to you several months ago. At least 2 months ago.
Okay,
Can I comment on that, please?
yeah,
Dick, it doesn't matter. The roof is saturated with a solar array. The roof will produce the maximum that can be produced with the solar panels currently available. All of that production will go to the benefit of the town at large. That was my question. Will go to the benefit of the town at large. And so whatever it produces is a positive for the whole town. And this should be done as soon as possible with no delay. Okay,
Do
so
we know
is
the
that
output?
clear?
yes, I can resend that information to you later.
I'd like to know the output of the solar array by month if it's possible, because it does affect the main power options rate for next year for the total municipality. Because the
Okay,
more.
you realize those will be only estimates, Dick. Until we actually see the performance, those will be only estimates. They will not be hard to.
I can send you the
understand
estimates.
At least an estimate that I can use when I discuss this with Constellation and the main power options about next year's contract for the municipality,
Yes,
which I'm in discussion with them now. But they have as you probably know, the more solar you put on, it changes the winter load in the town.
right,
And when you change the winter load in the town, it could change the rate structure of the power supplier, not CMP. But the power supplier, which is.
Yes.
um,
it was
Constellation.
circulated, the whole committee, but I'll
I'd
circulate
like
it
to know
again.
that,
Yes.
there is an estimate, Bill.
Yes,
Must be, you already have a
Yes.
lot of it.
Yeah, there's a total yearly estimate. I doubt that it's by the month, but they could certainly provide that if we required it.
Anything is better than nothing, Bill.
Yeah.
You know,
we will do that,
but it's hopefully by the month.
okay, so,
Harriet,
right,
I do remember my question, and
Yeah.
it has to do with CMP and the solar array. Have you had a conversation, Cressica, with CMP to make sure that the output of that solar array, once it's in place, will be incorporated in the distribution plan for the rest of the solar production from the two arrays?
I don't
So-
know.
Wait again.
Uh,
The distribution, the what?
So at the moment, the production from both solar arrays is allocated in a cascade, a descending cascade to the different town accounts. So this output, this new output should be incorporated in the total productivity for the town and allocated in a comparable way. Has that been worked out yet?
We haven't started the interconnection application yet, so we will definitely include that in our
Okay.
request.
That was
Yeah.
my only point, that it be included when necessary.
Okay.
anything else? Okay, moving on to the municipal building.
That's me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just a moment. So, as you probably saw outside, we've been able to install the base of the EV charger and the conduit from the health center building. And that will probably be, possibly need to be the Energy Committee's contribution to the relocation of the EV charger.
Okay.
Now, yeah, the second part of that will be actually installing the wiring and the EV chargers themselves. And that funding will probably come out of the, well, it's supposed to come out of the congressionally directed spending grant. And fortunately, we just received our notification of award for the CDS grant today. So we're moving forward with being able to access that funding as soon as possible for all of the municipal building or all of the health center related costs that we planned, which mainly for energy that includes the EV charger, possibly the generator, and the solar array.
Terrific.
And then, you know, the municipal building committee will be having a meeting on, we'll be having a meeting on Friday to discuss other matters publicly. So you can tune into that to hear the public discussion. Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Has there been any discussion about the Up Island Firehouse? A few people, especially in the fire department, have started to talk about it a bit more.
Yeah, I think that will be the main point of discussion at the Friday meeting, because they put on the agenda that they would like to get permission to start moving forward with construction, because they've identified a construction manager and a procurement pipeline for the building. It's a good step forward.
Okay, and, all right, and the main utility policy and rates, Dick, do you have an update?
No, but I'd like to ask, I didn't realize you were finished with the library.
Oh,
I did some mathematics on the library and the heat pump. I'd like to put that on the record if you don't mind.
okay,
And I have copies of the mathematics based on Bill's, fuel consumption data.
yeah,
And 1,228 gallons rather than 750. I have the data and I have my mathematics, which I'll be happy to pass out. Thank you. I want it on the record because
okay.
it's going to be vital on the future.
So this is the thing that we can hardly
That's-
see,
you
is that the
can read that if you
calculation?
want, it's all part of it, but the written part, it's,
This is it?
yeah.
Oh, that's
You
really
can
hard to
read
read.
that. Okay, you can read that if you want, it's my calculations. That's what I did for a living for a while.
Is there any way you can type this up so it's legible?
I think I got the wrong thing, Dick.
Yeah.
I think you gave me, Dick, I think you gave me your notes. We got a trade. You gave me your notes or something else that's not, maybe.
Don't tell me I gave you the wrong thing.
Yes, and I was like, well, I can read it, but it's not the thing you gave me. Thank you.
I'm really sorry, Dick. I'm unable to comprehend some of this,
It's not
especially
dark
with the type of equations.
Yeah, it's not dark enough, it didn't
And
copy well.
Would you be able to send out an email in great detail explaining what the equations and how they are formed and how you got the amount for that and what you're calculating? I've never done this in my life, so I'm kind of confused with just seeing a lot of numbers and also calculations that I've never seen before. I
I
just
think
need
if I
to,
understand your question, simply put, when you have actual fuel consumption data from like we do from Bill in the library, and it only focuses on heating, you can make the calculation. So the heat loss of the building by using degree days and temperature differences in the library. And with that data, you can create the total electric consumption for electric heat as well as fuel. And that's not, popular thing to do for buildings like this.
But
Um,
Dick,
Dick, I think she understands what you're trying to do. What she doesn't follow is the math. You have to take the committee through the math.
yeah, this is very hard to read, Dick, can you?
Like you could, I could do that again, but
I mean, you need to lay it out as though you were teaching a class step by step so that people can follow the logic, because nobody else has done this work but you.
That's what I was trying to say. I've never been in this field, so I have no idea what this is about. You're gonna have to explain
this
in
is
greater
the
detail.
PUC, my correspondence in connection with them. Nothing-
But Dick, what's the bottom line that you're trying to show here?
I can fill that in darker, but that is
No,
the
Dick.
calculation.
What is the bottom line you were trying to show here?
I'm trying to show that the calculations for the heating system on the library based on a year's data, or 9 years data, whatever Bill Thomas gave me. And I can calculate from his data, which is the second sheet.
But what's the bottom line conclusion?
I can answer that question. Okay, Dick is struggling with that, but I can tell you, the
Wait,
conclusion is,
Don't you both talk at once, please?
One person at a time.
I don't understand the question, Janice.
Why did you do this?
I did this because I wanted to do a heat loss on the library so that we could calculate whether or not a heat pump's gonna make sense in a cost benefit analysis.
And what's your conclusion about that?
Right now, the cost of electric power and a heat pump is about the same price. It's not what Jessica said. There's no great savings on a heat pump.
no, that can't be right.
No,
That absolutely cannot be correct.
using figure
At
from
this
a
point in
year
time, particularly
before.
if you're gonna buy a new system.
Well, I just wanna go back to a discussion we had about, for a long, when we did the insulation in the library.
Mhm.
We said, Bill, you had said, hey, it'd be great if we could have a couple years data on this, but let's get at least 1 year of data and go from there. And then I know the library really wanted to move forward quickly with getting this heat pump done.
Right,
So this is the situation we're in now, Dick, right? So we have 1 year of data based on the current building, and the other years, the other years that you looked at were from not insulated buildings.
One or two of them were.
no, just
One
one.
is from
One.
That's right.
insulation
It's a
and
total-
the rest are not. So I think that we, library and us, we kind of said, it seemed at the time, we agreed we were gonna go forward with 1 year of data, and this is what we're doing.
Okay,
I mean, so I think it's either like you kind of get in line or you can make just ask for a change, but this is the
the
decision
difference,
process.
the difference is a heating system is not affected dramatically by a solar system.
I'm not
The
talking
solar
about the
system-
solar,
no,
I'm talking
no,
about
that's right.
insulation.
With the exception
The
of the
building
heat
was
pump.
insulated, the building was insulated, not
That's
talking
fine.
about solar. So that should impact the heating system.
That would affect the heating system, and we have a lot of data.
No, we have 1 year of data, 1 year of data.
We have all of Bill's data too.
Right.
Now, I
Bill
understand.
share
You
data.
never, I understand what you're saying, but you never
What
can
is
be
she saying,
perfect about
Dick?
the calculations of a heating system.
No,
because
it's
of
not.
Anything else, but it's better than nothing, and that's what we are. We're in pretty good shape. That insulation's gonna change maybe 2 or 3% of the.
Harriet, may I speak to this quickly?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Dick, the
Yes.
data you have cannot be used in their totality. You can use only the data from pre-installation. You can take that average. The utility of that is limited, but it is to show the baseline against which we have made improvements by insulating the building. Okay, that's it. You have 1 year's data to calculate the efficiency after installation. You can do your calculation on that. Kreska is correct. It's the 750 gallons, okay? And there's no way that it will not be beneficial to have a heat pump rather than a fuel-driven system. I mean, that's just not possible, okay? So that's the summary of the situation.
Well, but what Dick says here is he wants to make sure we get the right size of heat pump, but doesn't the company that puts it in take all that into
I
consideration?
don't know. And I'm not sure what the responsibilities of the Energy Committee really are with regard to the calculations. I did this as an engineer. on a lot of buildings, and I was being paid to be the consultant on heating system design, a lot of other stuff.
Right.
Now, I don't know whether that's the responsibility of this committee or not.
I don't think so.
I don't know that.
Well, it is our responsibility to make sure that what we're installing makes economic sense. Right now, we're in the process of getting additional estimates and additional designs. I agree with Bill that we really only 1 year of data is actually relevant, although we can look at the average degree days and, that may help us make some projections into the future, but, we do have limited data on which to make that. So we will come back to this next month when we have some
Right
actual
now, there'll be no
proposals to
money
work
spent
on.
on a heat pump at this point in history, at least as far as the budget for the library is concerned.
Well, it's not coming from the library budget, it is coming from the energy committee budget.
How much money are we involved with, with the library?
So
We don't know yet.
right, I believe we have $40,000 in our budget, and that our plan was to include the rebates that you get through Efficiency Maine. The original estimates that we got that we presented previously, it turned out that their calculation of the rebate was incorrect. And it actually, the number was much higher. So we are going back to the drawing board and getting additional proposals
Rebates would be for a heat pump.
for the heat pumps, yes.
We don't know the total cost of that system at this point.
Not yet, no. That's what Corsica said, we're in the process of getting those estimates.
Have we spent the $40,000 yet?
No. None of it has been spent. So,
Is there any plan on that?
yes, we're in the process of getting proposals from different heat pump suppliers.
Now, don't forget, they're not the technical people that should be giving you the proposal. The proposal should be done by independent professionals, not the manufacturers necessarily. Now, you need both. You need the manufacturers and you need the engineering estimate of something like this.
We're getting an
Yeah.
estimate from the installer who is
Yeah.
getting supplied, they're buying the equipment from some company, but
I
they're
understand
the
that.
ones who are going to be doing the estimates and installing it. So
But you really ought to see the economic analysis from a
It will happen.
professional that has no economic stake in the equipment that's being installed.
Okay,
Okay, we'll take that into
I mean, if
consideration.
I was selling equipment at the time I was doing estimates on various buildings all over this part of the world, I'd be disbarred and everything else. My license would be long sought,
Okay,
so
well,
we have to be careful about this.
we can look at the calculations when we get the proposals.
That's
in
all
there.
I'm asking.
Yeah. All right, so the utility,
So
Update.
I have something for the
Oh, I'm
EV
sorry.
charger.
Go ahead.
Mert was able to receive the items. There's still a few items that are on back order. And at the moment, we haven't really opened any of the items that were purchased through Cell Block for the EV suppressant equipment. Because he is currently in contact with the company and another fire safety training company. And the Energy Committee has been invited to an EV fire suppressant training course and class, sometime in October, November. I'll be speaking with Mert soon to nail down that date and email you guys the information about when it is. But, especially with the Energy Committee, funding those supplies to help with situations, if it ever happens, it's definitely, we want to say thank you and allow you to come see what we're gonna learn and how these things are gonna be used. So,
Yep.
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay. So, sorry, the utility rate update, anything on that?
The only utility update I can give you is that, I need probably another month or two, of data on the meters that are currently in the municipal collection. I think there's 8 municipal buildings being served by now Maine Power Options. Nothing new with respect to the rest of the community at this time.
Okay,
There's still the standard offer. Although I had discussions with the state energy office this morning about time of use rates. And how that would be very effective in the state of Maine, particularly on this island, which would give us power much cheaper off-peak and would avoid demand coincidence.
Yeah, you're talking about for the whole island or just the municipal
Oh, the whole
buildings?
island.
Yeah,
And they're a lot more attentive than I thought they would be.
good, good.
We did all of the states except Maine.
Any questions?
So there is wind blowing, but not very hard sometimes.
So do I understand, Dick, that you want the data from all 10 municipal accounts over the next couple of months? Is that what you just requested?
The more data, the better, Bill.
Okay, well, I haven't updated the files for about a month. I will try to do that, but of course I won't have those data until CMP releases them. And
So
so,
that's all you can do. I don't know how much insulation was put in the library recently, for
yeah,
example,
we do. We have a record of that, okay?
and that'll affect the heat consumption, but probably not dramatically, but it might be a 1 or 2% difference.
1 or 2%? No, that's a gross underestimate.
You think it'd be bigger than that, Bill?
Yes. I
I
mean,
do have a question.
Dick, let's talk about this offline. I will show you the data. We'll talk about it and then we can bring it up again in committee. But this is taking too much time for the committee.
I have one quick question about the data, and I am sorry to continue this on. In your graph on one of the pages that you gave us in the sheet, it goes library by year, gallons used as a 9-year average gallon year. You can see there's quite a stark difference between 2023 and 2024 for the gallons by year and then heating season, even though 2023 and 2024 combined together. I do see in your bar graph, it says April 2023. I'm just gonna make the assumption is that's when we started putting in the installation for the library. And that's where the change of data is, where it's significantly less. I do see it went down from 2022 of 1,233 to 2023 of 823. And then 2024 is 610. So there, I do see almost from 2022 to 2024, close to half of a difference of data of gallons being used. And this is in the packet that you did hand to us.
Yeah,
So what's this difference from? Is that from the installation that we had recently?
yes.
Whom are you asking, Monica?
I'm asking in the information that Dick gave us, there's bar graphs and everything. There's a great difference, almost half the
Yeah.
difference from 2022 and 2024. I was just asking if that was due to the installation.
It's from the data that you supplied, Bill.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I don't have those data in front of me, but I can answer globally the question. As long as you, the installation was done in May or June, and so it had no effect on the data from the previous year, the previous winter. It would have an effect only on the data from the subsequent heating system. And so I'd have to, if you look at the data by heating system, it will have an effect on one heating system, but not the preceding heating systems. If you look at the data by year, then it will have a half an effect, or it will have a partial effect on 1 year. It won't have a total effect until the subsequent year. Did that make sense?
Yes.
You're saying,
Yeah.
right,
Now, I don't have those data in front of me, but if you look at the data the right way, you will see that there was a significant diminution, significantly more than 1% diminution in the consumption of fuel oil in the year after the installation. Okay, and so there is no question that the installation had a major effect upon the use of fuel oil.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you, Bill.
okay. So Cressica, the prize activities,
Yep, sure. The main activity has been organizing the window dressers community build. So Kizzy's been hard at work at that. And we had our window measuring training last Saturday. So Harriet, Bill, Janice, Trevor, Carrie, and who else came? Kizzy, obviously. So we had a great group to get ready to start measuring, and we'll be doing that until the September 30th deadline. And the community build is at the end of October. Janice is going to get
mad again because I forgot the date. It's what, somebody can say the dates.
It was, isn't it the weekend of October 26th and 27th?
Yeah, possibly. It's into November. It's like the end of October into November. So it's, I think October 26th and 27th is the previous weekend. And then,
Didn't it go to
Well-
November 2nd? Wasn't that the final date of it?
yeah, something like that. Yeah, the end of it is the first weekend in November.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, somebody can write down those dates for the record. Sorry. And okay, so the second, go ahead, sorry, anybody? Our second thing was that our NREL contact has suggested we apply for 2 grants for field deployment of the backup energy systems. So these grants would pay for actual equipment, not just technical assistance. And that, following from the NREL visit at the end of July. They're called the Critical Facility Energy Resilience Grant and the Energy Storage Pilot Demonstrations Grant. And he thinks we have a good chance of getting one or the other of them. Of course, their deadlines are in 3 weeks and 4 weeks, respectively. So I'm going to be looking at those grant requirements in the next couple of days, and I'll follow up via email once I've established what we might need to do for the grants. And NREL said they will help us with these grants in contrast to the Clean Energy to Communities grant, which they couldn't help us with because that was administered by NREL. Yep, those are there any other Energy Hub updates?
The filming.
The film?
Can you say it again?
The filming, do you want to mention the filming?
How we were asked to be.
Oh, yeah, the filming. Yes. We were asked to be one of 3 communities that completed the ETIP program or is in the process of completing the ETIP program to be in a film that NREL is now filming, and they would like to come visit us at the end of October. And they'll be filming a number of sites and doing a number of interviews around the island in the span of 2 to 2.5 days. So we're in the process of identifying those sites and identifying whom they might want to interview.
Yay.
So in the remaining time, I wanted to talk more about, other activities that we have on for this year. In addition to the library heat pumps, we had planned on our budget, we had some money for the firehouse insulation, and the emails I sent around, Monica and Bill have, and I can help out with that activity. I think our first step will be to reach out and understand, to figure out exactly what is needed there and define the scope of what needs to be done, so that we'll be working on that. The other thing that's on our budget, not a large amount of money, but we had planned to have a community event, so I wanted to have an open discussion on what people think about that, what sort of event, and when. We talked a little bit amongst the people working on the prize yesterday about when this filming opportunity came up, if we wanted to have a very sort of small event, such as a film and perhaps some discussion afterwards, and then plan a larger event later in the year. But this is an open discussion, people's ideas. So.
Did you have to think of the sporting club, the old home?
I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
No, we had kids.
Okay,
Yeah.
But I don't think they were present for.
okay.
I
didn't
can't
think-
understand.
Yeah, sorry, I can say it, you don't have to, sorry.
Yeah.
There was something that we were supposed to do at the sporting club in the summer, and so I didn't know if that happened, like an
Yes.
event with them. So I just thought that's.
I wasn't there, Cressica, that was at the old, we contributed to the
Old home.
old home debt, and Cressica and Kizzy were there. You had some handouts that you were handing out, is that right? Cressica,
Yeah.
I guess like I was saying, I thought some of our budget for the community that was used for that.
No, that was last year's.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That was last year's budget. We have another,
I'm forgetting.
we have,
Few months up, I don't know out of it. I forgot. You're right. We have. a whole
we have
year.
money
Yes.
in this year's budget
Never
as
mind,
well.
sorry.
Well, what we had talked about at the, Energy Hub meeting was, trying to do some of the, insulation and stuff at the sportsman's club when the filming people are there. And if that doesn't work out, then maybe scramble to put something together quicker, but we only have a month and that's not a lot of time to,
So we probably want to use the money that's in our budget for a larger event
in the spring.
in the spring. And somebody had suggested trying to do it maybe toward the end, in June, when there may be more of the seasonal residents here who might be interested in
There's one thing that I think you suggested, Harriet, about, looking at the scams, energy scams that are currently circulating this island and everywhere else for that matter. And I have some of them in front of me. And I think that would be time to expose some of that. Some of these scams are based on the fact that, Maine has an unregulated supply situation in the rate structure, the way it's designed. And that offers an opportunity for all kinds of what they call clean energy scams. They're not really clean at all, but that's the premise. And here's one here. You know, this is, I'm sure you're getting these postcards or something, I grabbed this one. And it's a scam without any doubt. They want 17 cents a kilowatt hour for power you can buy now from.
So that's a little bit off. I suppose one could incorporate that in the event. I've got a number of questions. I'm sure some of you have. This is a little bit a change of topic, but the flyers and the mailings that people are getting in the mail about some of these Next and some of these other suppliers, I thought perhaps we could put together an informational flyer, not to endorse or any particular supplier, but to tell people what information they could look at, how they could distinguish a scam from a legitimate, and I think shouldn't cost a lot of money because we could send it out by constant contact, I would think, but it might be a useful service to the island residents.
Or put it in the paper.
Yeah,
Have it in the paper would be good.
yeah,
Or like they have, at the ferry terminal, they have those little handouts that are like, talk about ticks and things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
right. So,
I had to leave for a moment to ask a question. I missed what happened while I was gone, but I have a suggestion for a possible filming venue.
I sort of opened it up for brainstorming about an event, about community events that we could do. Dick brought up the topic of providing information about some of the various rate scams and
Yes,
all the mailers and things that people are getting, maybe some kind of fact.
Yeah. I think that's
list.
a great need. Yes.
I think that's separate from a community event, really, but I think it's
Yeah,
worthwhile
I don't
doing.
know whether you want to include it in a community event or not, but
We perhaps could,
Yeah.
you know,
it's just,
um,
it's gonna get worse before it gets better.
I
yeah,
mean, you could have like, do all the things about like kind of disseminating, but also maybe just have something at the library where just like a one evening kind of one off. For
Mhm.
people that are interested could come and talk, like, and then, cause I feel like some people will read it, some people won't know, some people wanna talk about it, and those that talked about it in person can then help those who only saw it and didn't understand, you know what I mean? But it also could be something posted on our hub as like a permanent document that somebody, in the public, I think there's like public area of the hub, right? The
Yeah.
website, so that
Yeah.
could be on the website.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think there's people now on this island that have signed up for scams of
So-
one form or another.
Dick, are you willing to help put that
Whatever I can
together?
do, sure, I can look at the rate structures and so forth, which I did with this one here, this was just
Right,
a single one that came in the mail, and I said, well, I'm gonna look into it.
if you could
And
put
that
some
makes-
of the information together, then maybe
I mean, I do what I
we
can.
can
Dick, I have a collection of some of those I've been saving because I've been thinking that this is an issue we need to deal with. Yeah. I'll give them to you.
So, yeah, you can collect the information and then we can try to put it in a format.
So
that's
that
useful.
anybody in this committee that gets a solicitation in the mail or something, please bring it to the next meeting,
Okay,
because I don't get them all, that's for sure. But they're there.
right.
And I'm sure that others are getting scams.
Then I've been getting questions about it.
Oh, yeah, Melissa's got that email too.
Yeah,
Utility Commission is pretty aware of this, but they can't do much because it's unregulated, and the standard offer is an unregulated activity. They try to control it to some extent. But they can't do much about it.
I think just getting information, explanations out to, because people are getting really confused by this stuff.
Well, and sharing like what the rate is, so it's like, here's an easy one, if they're offering you
Yeah.
anything worse, better, higher than this, then it's a hard no, maybe you wanna think about other things, but yeah. And how to distinguish between that and maybe someone doing community solar, which is different than someone trying to install some sort of energy system in your home, right? Like, I don't know, solar.
Trevor had some information relevant to this whole topic. He expressed some information about calculations he'd done on his own bills.
Yeah, okay, so that shouldn't cost a lot of money, but I think that's a worthwhile project to take
Yep.
on. Now, as far as, and we could certainly incorporate that into, or at least pass out information at any community event. How do people feel about, even the timing of an event?
A carbon event,
The timing, when to hold if we're gonna hold a community event,
I think the summer is probably a lot of people will be here that are not here from here on out.
that was brought up. Yes,
But I think we
agree.
should still do something in the winter time for the year-round residents, just as something to do during winter. And I was wondering, have we ever thought about doing a potluck of information? Instead of just doing like a film and a Q&A, and like people can gather at like a community gathering spring club or the ICC, depending on what's approved and not. And then that way people can have discussions and like enjoy community members and also learn more about energy and ask questions like about the scams and ask questions about the solar, what's going on here, what's going on there.
So how would you want to structure that? Would you have people get up and like give a 5-minute
I think
discussion?
I think that maybe so, and it just hit in my head, maybe if we did do a potluck, the tables could like, people could just write questions.
Uh-huh.
And then we could have like a moment of like 10 to 20 minutes of discussing the questions, because a lot of people have different opinions in different questions.
Yeah,
And, there's a lot of comments of anti-solar that I've heard, especially with the political race going on right now.
yeah.
So I think if we really separated that during these community events from like politics and like green energy or like electric energy, we could possibly give better information instead of biased information. Because some people still think it as a very political thing, is what I've been hearing by comments.
True. Monica, what would you think of doing, just as a way to break the ice, do like a pretend Jeopardy thing where it can be scams for 200?
Community interact and like really be a part of learning what energy is, especially how we want to move forward with new
Yeah.
energy on the island. I like that.
Yeah, it would just make it fun.
Cute,
Yeah.
yeah. And then also it kind of greases the skids as you, I'm sorry, I'll just say it, but it greases the skids because obviously we're coming up with these island-wide energy plans, and a lot of people still don't know what they are.
Right.
So the more we kind of engage folks on just whatever, it'll be easier to continue having this conversation. Sorry, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah,
Sure.
I agree completely with Monica. I think this is a great idea to have something in the winter, the doldrums of the winter. People will come to it because there's nothing much else to do, even if they don't really believe in what we're saying. It's an opportunity to reach people. I do think it's a good idea for a variety of reasons. I don't think we have to plan the details of it right now, but I think we should agree on the concept or not agree on the concept. I support it. I do think it's really important at some time in the near future, I brought this up yesterday, but not everyone was there, to involve the summer people in this conversation because as we've noted from the ETIP analysis, they represent a significant use of energy on the island. And a lot of what we do doesn't touch them. We have some inroads through the ICC. Philip Blad has been helpful in that regard, but it's still a population we don't have good connectivity with and the people whom we do need to reach. So I do think we ought to target them directly. I'm done.
The forum seems very well attended in the summer by summer people. And
Yes.
we've had local things like, farm producers were there and then, some of the, the people doing mussels and oyster, the seafood farming that was there. So maybe we could talk to the forum about having an energy, like what's going on the island and because the forums are packed with summer people.
Yeah, that's true. And the farmer's market is another venue that, gets a lot of, the seasonal residents. So ideas that we have right now are a winter event, something to, connect with summer people, which I like the idea of the forum because it makes use, rather than adding something more onto people's calendars, which are pretty full already. We would capture the people who maybe already have that on their schedule. And any other idea? So as far as, how we use our budget, we could divide it up into to smaller events, or dedicate it to one bigger one for the winter.
Do you have any idea how much we have? Did you think about?
5,000,
Whoa.
yeah, that's what we have budgeted,
Um,
yeah, Bill,
at the forum, they're always asking for donations. And the
Yeah.
donations they get, I'm sure are, well, I don't know, but I would wager are significantly less than the money we just talked about. I think we could get a lot of mileage out of contributing to the cost of the forum.
Mhm.
And it wouldn't be the full budget. I mean, we could probably donate $1,000 or something like that to the forum. They would appreciate it. We could popularize that donation and we'd still get access to the population, the people who are there. And we might be able to change a little the format of the forum so that we could extend the time, have some impact on the actual form that the forum took. Maybe an elaborate conversation before or after presentation, I don't know, but we might have input to that.
Well, that would be next year. next
Right, of
fiscal
course,
year.
next year.
Yeah. So is it the consensus of the group that we'd like to focus on a winter event for now?
It's fun.
I see everybody nodding their heads.
Yep.
Need to have a formal vote, so we'll need to, maybe by email, we can see who's interested in, working on the event. And coming up with some details, bringing some more ideas back to the next meeting.
Yeah, please, whenever you get, input from the scammer, whether it's telephone or computer or in the mail, please document it so we have it.
Yeah,
And we know who the devil is calling us, because I've seen solar being proposed by at least a half a dozen different things,
Yeah.
of which I'm not sure I trust any of them.
yeah, I think that's a good idea, and I think we also have consensus that that's something that we should put together some kind of informational
Sure.
brochure. We can also
Yeah.
promulgate it at, when we have events or.
I think
other
I could,
information.
I have a summary. I think I could probably put together a summary of the scam problem
Yeah,
to some extent.
Well, Dick, your idea on how can you tell it's a scam or not? Do you have ideas on how people can tell if it's a
Yes, I
scam
do.
or not? That would be good to write down.
that would be an
The
important.
minute I ask them how much it's gonna cost, it kind of staggers them because they don't know the rate structure in Maine.
Right,
They don't realize that the rate structure is a combination of two things. And so they fudge it and they make a mistake.
well, and I would suspect that the majority of residents who just pay their bill they are not looking at the rate, they probably don't understand what's going on. So I think an informational, and we need to probably put it in a format that's understandable.
I
Bill,
have part of that,
yeah,
but it needs to be,
Yeah.
it's focused on Maine and the island.
okay. Bill. this is him.
Yeah, it seems to, I think that the hub has created a presence. People go to it. The hub might be a good place to, one, request people give anything that they get in the mail to Dick or to the committee so that we collect from as many people as possible, whatever solicitations are coming to the island. And two,
Okay.
once we have information, we can use the hub as a way of disseminating that information effectively to the rest of the community.
Okay, that's a good idea. Okay. All right, any other comments? So our next meeting is planned for October 8th. Usual time. And I think we have a lot going on between now and then. Any other comments? Yeah.
2 grants, we got to write 2 grants between now and then.
3 weeks?
You know, I'm not sure it's possible. We'll have to see how much overlap there is.
See how
Between
much
the hours.
NREL will help us. NREL.
Right, and see how much the application overlaps with the previous applications that we put in. If there's significant overlap that we can just plug in, that makes it easier, but that's a tall order.
And if it's for equipment,
Yeah,
I mean, that's technical stuff. I mean, we have to really know what we're talking about. If we're
And
asking for
that's the
equipment.
problem. I mean, I had sort of envisioned that if we get the prize, actually, we should hear about the prize funding tomorrow. I'm told, but if we get the, I figured if we got the funding for that, we could at least then begin to get gather the technical information together and develop a plan that we would then be able to apply for funding.
Well, do we know how often these, I tried writing down the names of the grants and I didn't get the whole names, but the 2 new ones, do we have an idea how often they cycle around? Like sometimes it's every 6 months, sometimes it's once a year. If it's like,
Yeah, Cressica's not on anymore. We have to find that out. I think that
Because
would
if
make
it's-
sense.
if it's 6 months from now,
It would make more sense to do it in 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right, any other business? You have a moment to adjourn?
Second,
All right, so, Bill,
yes.
Holly,
Yes.
Dick,
Yep.
Janice?
yes.
Amy, Monica?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're adjourned.
Okay.
Imagine writing a grant like that in 3 weeks.
No, I thought it yeah, we can email Cressy about that, I think. But also it makes sense, it would be more rational to,
Of course.
you know, get easily, get some of the technical plans done before we start applying for funding to.